Adnan Syed is an American Muslim man of South Asian descent. He was convicted for the killing of Hae Min Lee, his ex-girlfriend, in 1999. At the time of this incident, both Syed and Lee were seniors at Woodland High School in Baltimore, Maryland. On January 13, 1999, 18-year-old Hae Min Lee was reported missing by her family. She was last seen by some of her friends leaving school at around 2:15 p.m. On February 9th, her partially buried body was found in Baltimore's Lincoln Park. The cause of Lee's death was manual strangulation. On February 2000, Syed was convicted of first-degree murder of Hae Min Lee. He was sentenced to life in prison with an additional 30 years. He has always maintained his innocence. The state based most of its case against Adnan from an acquaintance's testimony who allegedly helped Adnan bury the victim's body. Adnan's case became a global obsession after the launch of the podcast Serial. The first 2 seasons of Serial had over 250 million downloads. Sarah Koenig's podcast drew attention to many pieces of undiscussed evidence about this incident. In 2018, the Maryland Court of Special Appeals ruled that Adnan deserved a new trial. However, the Maryland Court of Appeals denied Adnan a new trial in 2019. In this video, I will be discussing why I believe that Adnan is innocent. After listening to The Alibi, the first episode of Serial, I was intrigued to learn more about Adnan's case, so I listened to a few more episodes and did my own research on the side. I found many interesting facts that further supports his innocence. In this video, I will be mentioning 3 paramount reasons that reinforces my opinion. The first reason is that there isn't a clear motive for Adnan to kill Hae. The state's case against Adnan revolves around him and Hae dating secretly. Sarah Koenig mentions in her first episode that the state argued that Adnan had put everything on the line, his family, his relationships at the mosque, to run around with this girl, so that when she broke up with him 8 months later, he was left with nothing and he was outraged. He couldn't take it and he killed her. All of this is completely incorrect. Adnan's mother mentions that his whole family was loose about it, in exception of herself. She adds that Adnan's father and older brother were both very loose about this issue. Adnan's parents knew that he was dating, but they never punished him for it. This contradicts the state's argument about Adnan putting his relationships with his family on the line. Additionally, everyone who was interviewed in the podcast stated that Adnan was not a rage or vindictive, but rather he was an average sad teenager whose heart was broken. Furthermore, Adnan's best friend, Saad, said that Adnan started dating multiple girls after his breakup with Hae. He dated a girl named Anjali from Philadelphia. He also met another girl named Nisha on New Year's Eve. And another friend named Mac recalls that she saw Adnan making out with another girl at a party in January of 1999. You get the idea. Adnan was a player. He just continued living his life after his breakup, like nothing has happened. He also maintained a good relationship with Hae following the breakup. On one occasion, her car broke down and she called Adnan to come and pick her up. All of this proves that the state's story about Adnan's alleged motive holds zero significance. If he really wanted to get back at her, then why did he wait that long to get his revenge? The second reason is the inconsistencies found in Jay's testimony. He has told the story over 6 times, and each time he told the story, some details shifted. Some of these discrepancies could be considered small, and others could be considered vital to the case. When he was asked about what him and Adnan did on the morning of the murder, he changed his answer twice. He first told the officers that they went to Westview Mall, then he changed his answer to Security Square Mall. This might not seem very important, but it questions the legitimacy of his testimony. Another aspect of Jay's testimony that kept changing is when Adnan allegedly told Jay he was planning to kill his ex-girlfriend, Hae. He kept going back and forth between the morning of the incident and a few days prior. In Adnan's trial, Jay excluded a whole side trip to Patapsco State Park because the trip did not fit the state's timeline. If he continuously alters his testimony To line up with the state's timeline, this raises the possibility of potential police influence on his story. The most important discrepancy found in Jay's testimony is about where Adnan allegedly first showed him Hae's body in the trunk of a car. When Jay was first questioned, he told the officers that he first saw Hae's body at Edmonton Avenue off of a strip. The second time he was questioned, he mentioned that Adnan showed him Hae's body at a Best Buy parking lot. This is not something we forget, where you first saw a dead body. This further reinforces that Jay's testimony is not credible and it should not be taken into account. The third and last reason is the lack of any physical evidence that supports Jay's testimony or even links Adnan to the murder scene. The television series The Case Against Adnan revealed that Adnan's DNA was not found on Lee's body or any other pieces of evidence found in the crime scene. The astonishing thing is that neither the prosecution nor the defense requested DNA testing. This shows that Adnan's defense was ineffective as they failed to request DNA results and contact a potential alibi, Aja McLean. In addition, cell tower evidence does not align with Jay's testimony. Before the court date, the prosecution carried out 14 cell tower tests. However, only 4 of them were used in the trial. This is quite fishy. All cell tower tests showed that Jay's story does not add up from 1207 to 607, where the majority of the crime reportedly took place. The state claims that Adnan called Jay at 2:36 to pick him up from Best Buy. However, they did not base this on anyone's testimony. Jay claims that Adnan called him at around 3:40, but call logs showed that there wasn't an incoming call at that time. The state has altered Jay's testimony to align it with the call logs. All of this make me believe that Jay's testimony is not credible, as almost all the evidence says otherwise. To conclude, it's not me who decides if Adnan is guilty or innocent, but we can all agree that Adnan's trial was not fair. I truly believe that he's innocent and he deserves a new trial.